everyone. My name is Nicole Minnis. I'm with the National Law Review. This may come as no surprise to any of you, but the number one prevailing personality trait that differentiates lawyers from members of the general public is skepticism. Dr. Larry Richard, a psychologist and former litigator, not this gentleman on the screen here, has been studying the psychology of lawyers for over 20 years, and he has discovered that lawyers can score 30 to 40% higher on this personality trait than pretty much everyone else. Developing a thought leadership strategy is imperative for any firm's marketing success. And sitting at the very center of any firm's thought leadership strategy are these ultra-skeptical people. So, oops, too far. How do you convince your lawyers that creating content is a critical and measurable endeavor? Present them with evidence that it works and that you can track data to continue to target and improve your efforts. It's crucial to have a business plan that addresses what attorneys' main concerns are going to be. Why invest in content marketing? What will investing in it do for their business? And how will success be measured? You all know how to address the first two components of this issue. I'm here today to help you learn which metrics to extract from Google Analytics that will be the most compelling evidence for your attorneys. You might be asking yourself, well, where do I get this data from? It's important to find the thought leadership champion at your firm. Identify one or two attorneys who have shown that they understand the value of thought leadership and have the best history of following through with new initiatives, and get them involved. Once they start creating content, you will be able to measure that content's effectiveness and bring that data to the table when you're making your case for thought leadership. Oh, and another side effect of sharing the data with other attorneys at your firm is that you tap into the competitive nature of attorneys. I don't know if you've heard about that or not. Once they see their compatriots partaking in a successful endeavor, they'll want to jump the bandwagon too. Okay, before we take a look at the analytics, I want to impress upon this point first. It is necessary to manage attorneys' expectations for what the data means. Raw data often truly fails to portray the circumstances of the situation, so context must be given to these numbers. Here are two real-life examples of articles that have been published on the National Law Review website. This article was published last fall on the Federal Immigration STEM OPT program. It has had nearly 30,000 hits to date. That is an enormous amount of exposure. However, 64% of the hits to this article came from search engines, people looking for keywords like STEM OPT, OPT extension. And 80% of the links flowing into this article come from Facebook and Twitter alone. In contrast, the second example had much, much fewer reads. The authors are from a Wisconsin-centric regional practice, and they wrote on a niche area of the law, retail law, and even more specifically, mall kiosks. And while the total reads for this article were far fewer than the previous 30,000 reads, 80% of the people reading this article on the NLR website came to it from a citation in the specialty retail report. One can surmise that the specialty retail report has a very specific audience, folks who are more likely to hire our clients for their services. And in fact, our analytics tells us that these companies and these municipalities were reading this article on our website. So, which article is the winning article? The answer is, it's up to you. When discussing thought leadership with your attorneys, it's important to find out what success means for them. Informing them of the data that's available and how it fits in with their expectations is critical for getting people on board. Okay, let's dive into those analytics. I divide these metrics into two categories. First, analytics that quantify the success of existing content. And second, analytics that provide insight and direction for future content. I believe it's important to address both of these concerns because it will show your lawyers that thought leadership is a strategy with longevity. They won't be investing their time in a program that doesn't have a long-term strategy for sustainability and improvement. Okay, This first group of metrics can be found under the behavior section of Google Analytics, and it shows unique page views and time spent on page. These are basic indicators of success of an article. A unique page view is the number of times your page has been viewed in a single session by at least one person. I think I got that right. But unique page views are best read alongside average time spent on a page, because this actually tells you whether people are actually sitting and reading your content as opposed to just briefly clicking on your page. This next grouping of metrics can be found in the audience section of your analytics, and it helps you answer the question, am I reaching my target people? You can see who's reading your content by geographic location. The default view is actually set to country view, but it may be more impactful for your firm to set it to city view so you can see how your content is resonating throughout the country. If you're writing on Nevada gaming law, you want to see your contents being read in Nevada. And you can also get some insight into what companies are reading your content by checking out the ISP. Many at the top of this list, I don't know if there you go. At the top of this list are going to be communications companies. And this is simply an indication of people reading your content on their home networks or on their cell phones. But if you take a look closer, you can actually see companies and organizations that are reading your content by their internet network. If you click through, you can see how many people have read your content at that organization and which articles are actually being read there. So you'll see here, in this case, the SEC, people are reading multiple articles from the NLR at the SEC. The next set of metrics falls under acquisition. Here you'll find out who has cited to your content on their website and how much traffic that brings in. This is relevant to skeptical attorneys because once your content has been cited to, it's been deemed an authoritative piece of information. Here you'll see that we have links coming in from today's general counsel. If you click through, you'll see how many people have come to your website from today's general counsel, how long they stayed, and where they went afterwards. We actually have multiple links, multiple articles being cited to by today's general counsel. And if you click on the URL extension, you can actually see where your content has been cited to. It opens up in a new window. Okay, now that we've shown you which metrics that quantify the success of already existing content, let's take a look at how we can use this information to inform and improve future content. Under the audience section, where we talked about the location and company of the readers, you can also use the same information to tailor your future writings. If you're seeing that energy law companies are reading your energy law articles, you write more on energy law. You can also use this information to plan other thought leadership pieces like events, seminars, and webinars in areas where people are reading your content. In the acquisition section, we showed who has linked to your content via the referral section. If a citation on a specialty retail law website brought in lots of traffic, keep writing on specialty retail law. It's also an opportunity for you to reach out to the people that cited to you, thank them for citing you, and then offer them further information with another article. You can also see links to social media sites in this section here. By taking a look at which channel brings in the most traffic, your firm can expend more energy and time into the care and maintenance of that particular account. And still in the acquisition section, under search engine optimization and queries, you'll find out which keywords people use to get to your content. The ability to do this is relevant to skeptical attorneys because it shows how well their content is doing search. And you can use that information to tailor your future content and incorporate these keywords into your SEO strategy. Make sure that you're organically including these keywords in places like titles, alternate text, headings, subheadings, metadata. These are the types of tweaks that will help boost your page's rankings. Okay, so gave you some information about data that you can bring to the table while you're making your case for thought leadership. And I want to leave you with a few tips on how to continue to sustain a successful thought leadership program going forward. All that data you just brought to the table, continue to bring it to the table. Make sharing relevant information high profile and high priority. Just 5 minutes of discussing thought leadership with attorneys on a regular basis will keep them engaged and focused. You can also choose to share this information via an internal newsletter or an email. And remember that competitive nature of attorneys I was talking about earlier? Tap into that. Show attorneys what kind of exposure their colleagues are getting and what thought leadership has done for their business. If you're at an IP meeting, bring in the stats from a labor and employment law thought leadership. Show them how well they're doing. Remember, success breeds success. You can also proactively teach your attorneys how to write in a more journalistic fashion so that their content is more easily digestible. In-house counsel are generally generalists. So writing for these people, writing should be geared towards these decision makers. Lawyers don't need to spend an inordinate amount of time researching and writing in the way that they're used to. They should write on what they know and add value in order to distinguish themselves as particularly knowledgeable. With legal news reporting, as with any news reporting, requires them to be quick to turn around the story. So it's important to, like I said, write on what you know. And if your lawyers want to do a deeper dive into content, that is of course valuable for potential clients. But instead of issuing one really long client alert or post, break it up into several different small, easily digestible posts and release them over a few days or a few weeks. And make sure that you're linking all of the content together so that a new reader to the series can remain connected to all of the existing content. And finally, writing is a big commitment for some folks. Creating podcast recordings and videos is a great way to showcase your attorney's knowledge in a manner that is friendly to the way that people are consuming information these days. General counsels, they hire people. So giving your attorneys a literal voice will both humanize them and credentialize them. NLR friend John McDougall frequently interviews attorneys, and he has found that one question equals about 5 minutes of dialogue, depending on the depth of the question. So if you have 6 questions with 5 minutes of dialogue, then you have yourself a 30-minute recording. You can break it up into smaller pieces, 2 15-minute podcasts, 6 5-minute videos. The attorney's commitment takes up about an hour, 30 minutes for the actual recording, and 30 minutes contemplating questions that they already know the answers to beforehand. But you are left with up to 6 different pieces of content. And make sure you get that recording transcript. If you post the recording with the transcript, then you have yourself a fully search engine crawlable page. It will require additional resources on the marketing department's end, but attorneys might find this method of thought leadership more conducive to their time, and therefore might be more willing to follow through with content creation. Okay, that's it for today. I understand that both skeptical attorneys and Google Analytics can be really challenging to work with, but I hope you can take what you learned here today to either start or continue to sustain a successful thought leadership program. Thank you.